Hey YouTubers, Steven here. Okay, today I'm going to show you something that anybody can do at home for home mechanics, and it'll save you a lot of money. Now, I'm not a licensed mechanic, as I've said in a couple of other videos, but I do my own mechanics, and I'll show you how easy it is to do at home. Save yourself a ton of money. So today, what are we going to do, you ask? Well, like the title says, it's a dead giveaway. I'm going to show you how to change the front brake pads and rotors in my 2002 Dodge Caravan Sport. Now, the principle is the same for pretty much any car, front wheel or front brakes. It's really simple and easy. So let's get started. So I've already chalked the back wheels. All right, very important because when you jack up your van, if you're not perfectly level or car, you don't want it rolling back. So wheels are chalked. Step number 2. We need to open up the hood. Every car is different, but this is where my brake fluid goes. We're going to take the cap off, and I'm going to explain this later. And don't forget, the cap is off. Very important. So the next thing we got to do, we got to jack up the van. So, all right. So the first step is we need to get our tires off. Make sure it's turning in the right direction. Alright, and these electric impact guns, mind you, this is my grandfather's. Super old, super big and heavy compared to the new ones, but a really good investment. Saves you a lot of time and money. Oh, part of my wheel spacer. That's not cool. And the winter tires that I had on had these wheel spacers, just because the rims are a little different, but well, I guess I'm gonna have to get a new one of those. Alright, so the next thing, while you have your wheels off, just take your fingers, make sure you didn't just stop your van, because these would be like super hot, but just run your fingers over the rotors. If you feel any really deep grooves, like I have on the back side here, they should be changed, and I am planning on changing these. So, next thing we need to do is we need to get our nuts off. In my particular van, like I said, it's a 2002. It's a 12mm socket. So we're just going to put it on here, and it should just be a couple of little taps on your ratchet, and that'll loosen up the bolt. And then there's another one down here on the bottom. Right down here. Couple little taps, and it'll start to come up, and we're going to take these out. This is how you change your front brakes. Super easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy. Mm-hmm.
Alright. Still recording?
Yeah.
Alright, now that our bolts are out, okay, I've seen a lot of videos, or a couple of videos, where people are taking screwdrivers and they're jamming them in between the piston and the brake pad to loosen these up. I don't recommend that, simply because if you've got an older caliper, those pistons can be, you know, chipped and broken pretty easily. All you need is a screwdriver. Alright, you just wedge it in there and look. These calipers come off so easy. So we're just going to sit our caliper up here. Okay, we don't want it just hanging on the flex line. And then these particular brake pads, they just slide out. They have their own little grooves. They slide out. Now these shoes, these pads are pretty good. You know, they're not overly worn. You can see how thick. I've got lots of pad there. And we'll slide the other side out. Just like that. Now these aren't bad, but hopefully the light will pick it up. Can you see the grooves? Okay, I've got grooves in my pad that match my router, so pads and routers need to be changed. But on another note, since I've got so much pad on these pads, I'm going to keep them just in case I need them for spares, because you never know. You get on a Saturday or Sunday, your brakes start grinding, you know, and you didn't realize your pads need to be changed, and well, a spare set will get you by. And make sure these little metal pieces, you don't lose them, because they actually fit in these little channels down here. So we have to make sure to keep this, because we don't want to lose it. I have to see what side it was. So it's from the bottom. Another tip too, make sure you check your sliders. Make sure they move fairly well. You know, they're loose. You know, there's lots of grease on them. You can pull them off and clean them. All right, they're not all gunked up. They got lots of lubrication on them, so we're just going to slide them back in here. And if you find they're not, you know, they don't have a lot of grease on the sliders, or they're all gunked up, just clean them off, put some more lubricant on them. But the last time I changed the brakes, there's all kinds of grease on them, and they still slide in and out quite easily. We'll check the top one. Alright, nice and easy, because you want your caliper to be able to move in and out with it. And if these are stuck out, then your brakes aren't going to work properly. And if they're not lubricated right, again, you'll have more brake problems. Alright, so we got our socket in here. I'm going to take this bracket off to get a rotor off. And they're tight. These have never come off before. Now that it's loose, I'm going to wiggle the socket so we can get it off the bolt here. Easier said than done. I don't like hitting my tools with a hammer, but when it's at that odd angle, sometimes you have to. You could also use a big wrench too if you had the space. And if you're wondering what size socket this is, it is a 13/16 socket. Alright, so we have our piece off, and now our rotor's off. Just that easy. Alright, so now that we got our caliper bracket off, we're ready to put on our new rotors. Crack these bad boys out. Alright, so here's our nice new rotors, and we're just going to slide them on there like that. Too easy, right? I know. Alright, and we'll put our caliper bracket back on. Where'd that little clip go? There it is. Alright, remember that clip I said don't lose? Well, here it is. And that's where it goes. Right in there. Snap her down in place. Alright, we're all set. Slide this back into position. And I think we'll feed the top bolt in first, since that's the easiest thing to do first. While it's still loose, we'll put in our bottom bolt. Get it started in there. And for some reason, it doesn't want to slide in so nicely. Sometimes you have to jiggle these a little bit just to get the holes to line up again. But there she goes. She's all started now. We're laughing. Take your trusty ratchet. Make sure it's set to tighten and not loosen. And we just tighten them all up. And get my trusty screwdriver again. Alright. It's really just that easy to change rotors. Now, brake pads. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why I undid the lid to where my brake fluid goes. Well, here's why. If you look at our piston is already out, almost a finger width. Well, you can't squeeze it in with your hands. So what do? Take your old pad, slide it in there. It's not going to stay. But then you get a nice big C-clamp. Use the C-clamp to push the piston back in. Now, you're probably still saying, well, why do we take the cap off? So when we push the piston back in, you're pushing that brake fluid back into the system. When you take the cover off your brake fluid reservoir, it doesn't create pressure inside. It'll actually let the brake fluid flow back up into the reservoir, and it makes it easy as pie to close this piston up. So that's what we're going to do now. Just a couple of turns, you know, and the piston will go in easily enough. And you can just put it in flush. This way you're not opening up your brake lines, you don't have to bleed your brake lines. And it's also important, don't kink your flex line up here. I don't know if my camera person can see my flex line or not, but you don't want to kink your flex line. Because what will end up happening is, just like when you're trying to put water through a hose and you kink it, it doesn't go. So we're just going to keep turning the C-clamp until the pad is flush with the rest of the caliper. That way we know the piston's all the way inside, and then we can put our new shoes on and they'll actually fit on the new rotors. Alright, there she is. Just a few turns. Wasn't that hard. You didn't hear me screaming and straining. Okay. You see now our piston's back inside. It's good. A rubber boot, you know, is it's okay, but it's not the best. But the piston still moves freely, so we're not in any risk of it seizing up on us yet. That's also a good indicator too when your calipers are about to go, or about to seize. It takes you forever or a lot of strength to put your piston back in, then you know. Okay, so we have our new brake pads, and basically, see the little ends? These slide in the little grooves. Just like that. The other side around. Get them started in the grooves. Alright. Just like that. They're both slid in. Alright, they're in place. Then we just take our caliper, twist it back down the way it's supposed to go, and these just slide on. You just pull your sliders in. It'll go right in place just like that. And then we take our trusty bolts, line them up to the sliders. This can be a little tricky. Sometimes you have to pull the caliper up just a little bit, wiggle it a little to one side, and it will go in. Sometimes a little easier than others. Alright, so I have my caliper bolts back in place, and we just gotta ratchet them down tight. Just snug. You don't have to come right onto them. They're not really big bolts. And the last thing you'd want to do is snap your bolt off. Easy peasy. Now we just gotta put our tire back on. Lug nuts. Lovely, lovely lug nuts. I'll put this one on this one. Like that. Why did they just lose power? God knows. Always make sure you crisscross so that your lug nuts are tight. There. And it really is just that easy to change your front brakes and rotors. Just make sure that when you're done the other side, that you put your cap back on your brake fluid reservoir. When you jump in your car, your vehicle, van, car, whatever, pump your brakes a bunch of times. As you pump them, it'll push the pistons back out so that you have your clearance that you need between your rotor and your brake pads. That way when you go to pull down the road, first time you hit your brakes, you're not going to have anything because your pistons are way back. So make sure you pump your brakes about 5 or 6 times. You'll feel them stiffen right up. Start your car, pump your brakes a couple more times, and you're done. You're good to go on the road. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, just send me a message or put it in the comments section, and I'll help you out as best as I can. Thanks for watching. See ya.